Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Silicon Labs product podcast. I'm excited today. Parker Dorris has rejoined us. He gave us some Bluetooth Express uh, updates a while ago, and now he's back. Parker, thanks for joining the call.
Sure, no problem.
Since our last call, Bluetooth Express has been out there for about 6 months, and I guess there was a recent firmware update in February. Can you explain to everybody what was released in that February update?
Bluetooth Express was always designed to support adding features and fixing bugs through OTA, through over-the-air updates, and also through a DFU, kind of a serial update mechanism. We wanted to do this instead of having to release a new OPN every time we wanted to make an update. So we built those features in at the start, and this is our first major update. Includes a number of bug fixes and reliability improvements, really minor bug fixes, just the way that command responses look and things like that. Those are all the minor things, but the new features that we've added, I think, would be really interesting to a lot of our customers. The main new feature we've added is support for the coded or long range PHY. This was a PHY that was spec'd with the release of Bluetooth 5. It's been supported in the Silicon Labs Bluetooth stack for some time, and we added a really easy way to turn on this PHY just with a single command in the command interface. To choose between either the 125K or 500K versions of the coded PHY. This is a really useful update. It's probably it was one of the most important things we knew we wanted to get into Bluetooth Express that we couldn't get in at launch. The reason it's useful is because with just this single command switch, you can potentially quadruple the range of Bluetooth Express to Bluetooth Express communication, and so it's just a very easy way to make your products have much longer range. It's something that right now we're seeing, yeah, as I said, mainly in the Bluetooth Express to Bluetooth Express use case. So we're seeing customers that are building systems where there's maybe a controller unit and some remote units that need to be either monitored or somehow adjusted at longer ranges than the legacy PHY can support. So, as of today, with this firmware update, we support the legacy 1 meg PHY. We also support the 2 meg PHY that was defined at Bluetooth 5, and we have now this coded PHY support. We also added a number of other features, again, that you can see in the change notes on docs.scilabs.com. I would say that the main things are we added a command to read RSSI during an active connection, and we added some nice features that improve pairing and bonding controls. You can selectively enable or disable bonding. This allows you to add an extra layer of security into your end application where, say, a user would have to press a button in order to create start a pairing sequence or, to store bonds. And so this prevents any phone walking by or any other device from just connecting to a Bluetooth Express product. There has to be some physical interaction to connect to it and enable access to the Express streaming service. So those are some of the features we've added into this update.
Okay, so on the long range PHY, this is a curious question I have is what happens if a long range PHY becomes disconnected? Does it remember that it's a long range PHY when it tries to reconnect with the BGX device? So because in the past I know we had issues where you could establish the long range PHY, but then once you reach the long distance, if you drop that connection, you'd have to reconnect at the shorter distance and then reestablish the long distance. Are we able to now allow a BGX device to be in long range PHY mode, and then when it loses a connection, sort of beacon or request a long range PHY connection?
Right. Yeah, that's a really good question. So, and it kind of gets into another feature that we've added into the Bluetooth Express product. So yes, so you can configure the device to either advertise on the sort of longest range of the coded PHY, the 125K variant of long range PHY, or you can advertise on the 1 meg PHY, which is the PHY that today most phones support, and you can configure it to advertise on both simultaneously. So if you have two long-range PHY enabled devices, and for whatever reason a connection gets lost, the BGX that's advertising can just revert back to advertising on that long-range PHY. It would actually do that automatically, just due to the way the state machine inside Bluetooth Express works. So yeah, you could easily reestablish contact over long range. There's no need to kind of get closer to establish contact. That said, due to the way Bluetooth works, there has to be there's a back and forth kind of interrogation that happens during a connection, and that's a little less forgiving than a connection that's already been established that has a relaxed interval. And so if you're at the extremity of the range with a long range PHY, there might be some challenges in reconnecting, but our testing is kind of going out to those extremities, and we're still seeing a reconnection. But one thing to point out about, I mentioned this sort of multi-set advertising that we support in Bluetooth Express. This is an important feature, I think, because phones don't connect over long range PHY. So if you have an application that, say, the sort of main operational state of that application is two Bluetooth Express products communicating to each other, but you also need to enable phone connectivity for configuration, for some sort of initialization, or just to also support phone to Bluetooth communication for your application. We make it really easy to do that. It's just a single setting inside the Bluetooth Express command set, and then you can connect to one or the other. And it really, from the Bluetooth Express's point of view, it really doesn't matter when it uses if someone tries to establish connection across the 1 meg PHY, then it communicates across 1 meg PHY. If another Bluetooth Express product tries to connect over long range PHY, then it uses the long range PHY. So it's very kind of transparent to the Bluetooth Express embedded host that our customers would be coding for.
Okay. So just curious on the sort of the future. Are phones starting to look to adopt the long range PHY, or are they going to maintain that 1 meg PHY and not go to the coded PHYs? Do you see any?
Yeah. So some of our Bluetooth experts in the company might know a little bit more than me regarding what's on the horizon. I believe that we did see recently one flagship, I believe it was a Samsung phone that had enabled long-range PHY support. I might be wrong about the company, but I think there's only one that we've identified right now that supports long-range PHY, and I think that I think it's inevitable that kind of support will slip into phones over time. One reason why is just that any kind of most chipsets that support Bluetooth 5 connectivity that are being sold into phones are going to start including the long-range PHY almost by default over time. And so it seems like a natural thing, and it does kind of add value to a BLE product to support long-range PHY. Because of the way that the long-range PHY communicates, it uses something called forward error correction, which basically it maintains the same symbol rate but decimates the data rate. So there's a slight throughput hit, not something that would be at all substantial for most use cases. So there's still kind of advantages and disadvantages to using the long-range PHY. But what we're seeing, for instance, with Bluetooth Express is these are not high throughput, bandwidth demanding applications. These are sensors. These are communications interfaces that just need to, send a few bytes in a bursty way. And long range PHY is ideal for that. So yeah, we'll see long range PHY support in phones over time, I believe.
Great. Another question, and I thought I saw this in your slide update, is you mentioned the advertisements, the capability of doing both, the advertising to the phone, advertising to another BGX device. But were there any updates made to just advertisement capabilities or beaconing basically? Was there any beaconing added to the recent update?
No, this first update doesn't have any advertising enhancements. We know that there's a lot of room to grow there. To some extent, we're still looking for a critical mass of kind of use cases and opportunities in the field to warrant building out that feature. To be honest, I believe we're going to get to it. It's definitely a roadmap item, and we're looking into, again, with any new feature that we add to Bluetooth Express. It's not just one-to-one mapping things that currently exist in the Bluetooth stack. It's about trying to add it to Bluetooth Express in an abstracted way that makes it as easy as possible to use. And so one of the challenges with adding different forms of beaconing, whether it's iBeacon or Eddystone or maybe the tile kind of format that was recently announced, we have to make sure to make it easy to use. And so we kind of choose our steps carefully.
Okay. So can you just repeat, how are the customers, how are engineers, and how are these BGX devices getting this update?
Yeah. So early on I mentioned that Bluetooth Express supports updates over the air and through a DFU serial utility. Easiest way to do it is to go through the OTA method, and the easiest way to do that is to use BGX Commander. BGX Commander is the mobile app that's available on iOS and Android. As soon as you connect to a Bluetooth Express product, there's a little update firmware button in the upper right. It actually will have a little indication if it detects that the Bluetooth Express product that's in the active connection is an older firmware version, and so it'll kind of signal that you should probably update. So that's one method. That's the method that everyone should be using for any Bluetooth Express evaluation boards that are out in the field. The DFU method is more geared toward customer factory programming. So that's if a customer has a production run of a Bluetooth Express product, they can request a command line executable from us that will bootload the Bluetooth Express product with the latest version of firmware. The other option would be for customers to order a custom OPN from us. They can order a custom OPN with with this new firmware version. And but to be clear, with the OPN has not changed for Bluetooth Express, and what that means is any Bluetooth Express product you buy at a distributor or straight out of manufacturing from Silicon Labs is going to have the older firmware version, which is a fine firmware version for lots of use cases. These are just kind of added features and a few robustness enhancements. So robustness enhancements. That we want to promote over time, but so there's kind of, in a way, there's three points at which you could update firmware. There's ordering a custom OPN from us, so you get new firmware out of factory. You can update firmware through DFU utility at customer factory, or you can in an end product you can pull the updated firmware from the mobile app, either BGX Commander or a custom mobile app developed by customers, and retrieve the updated image and bootload over the air using that image.
Okay, that's plenty of options. So thanks for explaining that. So Parker, I want to wrap this episode up, but I would like to have you back. You mentioned there's some more topics that you'd like to cover about what we've learned so far, but for this episode, let's wrap it up. Where can the listeners go to get more information about the Bluetooth Express products? Where's the best place?
Yeah, the best place to find out about these new features is definitely docs.scilabs.com. That's our kind of document repository for all our commands and variables. And also we have some application examples on docs.scilabs.com. We actually have a new BGX to BGX example that exercises the coded long range PHY. There's a video that's on that page that kind of goes through some of these new features that we've been talking about today. That would be a great place to start, just to kind of learn what the state of the art is for Bluetooth Express. But yeah, go to docs.scilabs.com. Source code for these examples is available on GitHub. That's another good place to go. But really, docs.scilabs.com is the access point.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And again, join us on our next episode where Parker and I will go further into some of the new examples and some of the use cases and issues that he can help engineers understand. Thanks a lot, Parker.
Thank you.